So, um, I'm thinking where to start. Um, I think in the previous classes we have covered the array list and also the hash map in full detail, right? So array list, uh, all the collection classes available in the Java util classes are generic class based. Okay, like so for all these collection like array list, hash maps, okay, like you could define these ones for multiple data types. So first of all, what is generic class? Generic class is free of type. So you could use the class for any of the types. Uh, so you define a class such a way that um, you could instantiate any type of object, whether it can be, you could pass an integer, you could pass a string, you could pass a float, you could pass a double, or whatever the data type would be. And it need not be a standard data types, and it can be derived data types as well, like any of the object of some class. You could also pass as a as argument is similar to how you were passing to the different data types. Okay. Uh, Earlier, I think this generics was introduced in Java 6 onwards. I think Java 1.6 onwards. Earlier in previous to 5, okay, like I think it's introduced in 1.5 and then it started 6 and 7 and all like that. So until 5, okay, like so whenever you are defining uh, or whenever you are using some collection classes, okay, like it's very hard to know what type of a data type the data is belongs to. First, I'll show you how we used to write a code in earlier 1.5 or earlier Java 5. Okay, I'm not sure whether it will accept now. An error list. That's it. Okay. Uh, Next, suppose list dot. Okay, like I'm adding here some fruits or animals. Okay, line. I'm adding a line here and list dot add uh, tiger. Okay. So once you add some elements to the list, while getting the data from the list, like for example, I want to retrieve the second element from the list or first element from the list. Okay, like what we do is, so maybe could define something here. Okay, like string animal equal to list dot get. For example, maybe like 0, 1, 1, 2. Okay, like let's get here. And when you say like list dot get to, we don't know what is the type of that one. Okay, like so what we need to do is we need to, okay. But when you are defining a list here, you need not specify what is the type of that one. So it's just like an error list. Okay, like you just declare the list and then add an element of type string here. Add line, add tiger, add peacock. But technically, frankly speaking, I could also add list dot add 1000. So whenever we are retrieving the data, okay, like so here, for example, list dot get 3 will give you the value as integer. Since that is an integer, okay, like so, maybe you need to cast into like that. Maybe you could say like this one. So here, unless you cast into a particular data type, okay, you wouldn't be knowing about the data type. So you need to cast that one to that particular data type and then read the value. Okay, like so this is what. So technically, it would allow you, okay, like to add any type of data there. Obviously, like you could say string animal value. First, let me start with this, and then we will go through that. What is the generic class is about. I got the peacock here, I got the 1000 here. So unless we know what is the type of the data that we inserted into the list, it's very hard to cast that value into particular type. Okay, if the list has thousands of elements, then it's very hard to know what type of the data that has been inserted. So this is how it used to support before introduction of generics to the Java. So all these connections, okay, they are allowed to insert any type of data. Okay, so this is what the earlier version is. Now what we do is, okay, like so. First, I will let me explain you like how you would use that generics. Okay, like then first we'll see how we are going to use that one, and the next we'll see that like how to define a generic class, how to define a generic method, and also uh, various types, how we could restrict the types, okay, like to particular set of classes, to particular set of types, okay, like how we could do that one, all that kind of stuff we'll learn in the coming thing. Uh, here, first usage of generics, okay, like so because it should be uh, free of data type. So you could define here, for example, array list. I could able to define the array list for an integer, array list of strings, array list of floating numbers, array list of some object animal, okay, of class animal, okay, so that you could insert objects of animal to to that list. So let's try to define array list of, for example, just a simple thing, okay, like we could define array list of integer, list integer, and new array list which is of integer. Okay, and when you define declare here, okay, like array list uh, of type integer, so that means it will allow you to add only type integer here. It will not allow you to add the strings. Whenever you try to add a string to this layer, to the list integers, it will try to comply. Let's try to see that one. And also you could see that one straight away when I say like add, okay, it will give you that add only that. You could see that one. Okay, like the data type would be displayed in your help itself. Okay, let's say 100. So it will allow you. I've not got any error or anything like that. So I'm able to add all the integers. What would happen if I try to add a string variable? Let's see. So I got a compilation error by saying that the method add of integer in the type array list integer is not applicable for the argument string. So if I want to restrict the type for all the elements that I'm going to add into that particular array list, the one way we would solve the problem is using generic notation of array list. Okay, so any for all the gender classes, you would define the data type in angular brackets. So here you could define the type in angular brackets. Anything in these angular brackets, okay, like this resemblance the generic syntax. So this line will obviously throw an error. It will not work. Okay. So I could able to add the strings very easily because it's I defined this array list of type string itself. And the next one is let's try to add some other data type. For example, 1.24f. This will, sorry, I don't know why I'm getting all this add-on. So this will give me an error by saying that like so the this gender class is not defined for the data type float. So this will allow us to insert only string data types. So that is one of the best uses of the gender classes. Okay. So this is how you use the concepts of gender classes in reality. Okay. Is it clear, everyone? Also, this this generic types that you are passing, it need not be only one type. Okay, like it can be multiple types as well, and also it need not be um, primitive data types like integer, string, float, like that. But it can be an objects or it can be of class as well. If you want, like we could define that one too. Um, let's uh, define a new class. So let's define a class called plant. Okay, and I want to let's keep it just for empty, just for the example sake, or if you want, you could define some of the parameters as well. Uh, Flower plant. This one extends plant. Okay, so um, all the data and the methods you define in the base class. Okay, like so you could also reuse the same thing. Okay, like when you extend the base class to a derived class here. So flower plant is a derived class, and plant is the base class. As of now, as of now it has empty. We'll try to add some of the parameters. Okay, like so, flower plant, and then for flower plant. So I do have both the things. So here, what I would do is okay, like okay. So now list plants dot add. Here you could say plant one, plant two. So it's need not be only the primitive data types, and also you could use it for even derived data types like classes and objects like this. So if you define this array list for the a type plant, okay, like you could add all the objects of type plant. So I just added two of them. Next thing, this whenever you see define whenever you see this kind of a generates, okay, it need not be only one data type. Okay, like it can be multiple parameters as well. So one parameter is of one type, another parameter would be another type. So the best example is okay, hash map. Hash map anyway it required two parameters. One is called a key, another one is string. So integer hash map. Okay. And then so this kind of here for the case of the hash map, we are passing two generic type parameters. Okay. So your generic types, it need not be one type. Okay, like it need not be only one argument. It can be multiple arguments. It can be integer string, integer, string, like that. Okay, like so you could define multiple arguments. It would take multiple types at the same time. Okay. So this is another way, okay, like how to see that one. And uh, let's also define an interface. Just for example, what would be the common for plant? Uh, I just added an interface called it just like a watering, so that like for any plant, okay, like you could say that it implements watering, okay, like so the methods, the class which will have um, what do you call it, water plants. Maybe let's define another one, okay, like new class. It's called water plant, okay. So this water plant class, okay, like implements the interface called watering. Okay, right? So this water plant and plant we do have and flower plant we do have. Okay, so uh, here we covered that like how we could use the generic classes. The reason I selected array list is that we already saw that one, so we already gone through very deep dive of that. We already got linked list, array list, okay, like and hash map, tree map, okay, right? A linked hash map. We already gone through that example, so that is the reason. So this is how you use the generic class, okay. But the next major thing is how can I define generic class so that my class will accept the parameter like this and it would work for any types. Okay, that is the one which we are going to um, learn today. How to define our own generic class. Okay, um, what is the I'm just thinking what would be the best example that I could think of. Uh, let's go with the book. Uh, or not the book. Here, interest whenever you are defining your own generic class, here the my generic type is the um, um, my own generic type class that I'm defining. So here in the you put as an angular brackets and then you define your type there. So typically the a generic data type, since it start with a T, okay, like most of the people they use upper T here, okay, like which indicates what type of could pass a string, you could pass as a uh, um, uh, float, double, even object of any type of class. You could pass any of the parameters. So the simplest way is that since it is a type, okay, it is a part of the generic type, most of the examples that you may observe in the books, online or everywhere, okay, like you could see that upper T. But frankly, it's not limited to any letter here, okay, like so you could use any upper letter, okay, like need not be T alone, okay, like you could pass um, typically what they do is like they use um, upper K for key, upper E for elements, upper N for number, upper I for iterator, and upper T for type. Okay, like so that is a generic notation used in the Java world. So that is the reason most of the things, if you see that in any of the generic definitions, the class definition will have only the T. Okay, like, but it's not limited to only T. In case of multiple things, if you want to pass two generic arguments to any of the classes, so they will say T and U, okay, T, U, V, W like that. Okay, like so the define. But again, it's need not be just like that, but just a note for you. We could also define R, A, B, C, any type of upper letter you could use it. Okay, but for to make it is a much more simpler. Okay, like I'm using T itself so that you could correlate these for with any of the examples that you may find out in the Java books or even you may find out in online resources, online tutorials, or wherever. My generic type of T, okay, like here, and since it is a class, okay, like you need to define a constructor, okay, right? Complete my generic type here T of T. I forgot what is the command to format. Any doesn't matter. Here, uh, before that, I need to define the data elements of the class. So I have the data elements of the class, and this is your constructor. So this is the method used method to get the value. So you define your class definition and then use this angular brackets, and inside that one you define the data type. So here, just for the simplest sake, I just put like a T, and maybe you could say like the private key data element here. Then you pass something here, data element. This one also. Then, that's a definition of my generic class. So once you define the class like this, okay, like using a generic type, then I could uh, we'll also we'll also see how we could define. Okay, like I go to my application here, and this object of this guy, I will pass integer. So that is how I could define. Same thing, my generic type. Okay, like inside that one I pass the integer because I defined a constructor with one parameter. So that's why I'm passing the value as count type. Now For this, uh, see, I got my integer value is 100. So now I use this my generic type, okay, like, and then I was able to make it as an integer data type and then pass 100 as the one of its default value. The same thing copied over, okay, like, let me show you how I could use it for the strings. See how simple it is. If you want to have only the integer, you pass as an integer and then you pass the value. And if it is a string, you define a string like that. And if you want to define for what do you call for for plant class objects, you could also define that. Okay? And mm, here, what else that I want? What else that we could do? Here we do have already plant one. Okay, like so, what we could do is my generic type of plant. Okay, plant equal to new gen. Okay. Unfortunately, I don't have the toString variable available there, but I think still we could do that one. It may print out just the value. This is the package name, and this is the class name, and this is the hash code. Whatever thing at the rate after that one, whatever the value that we could see, that is called like hash code of that object. Okay, so this is how you will write. Let me show you one more time. Okay, like how I define the my generic type. So public class my generic type. Okay, remember always it should be public. And the next one is add a parameter and then type as T. I added some data elements there inside that one. I defined a constructor, okay, like of type integer data. You could just simply maybe first you define the class for integer type and then replace with the integer keyword with the capital T. That would work. That would make your class definition as a generic class. That's it. That much. Okay, like you need that. It's not a big complex rocket science here. And again, as I told you, like this need not be a just like T. But most of the cases, most of the people, even I saw in the industry, okay, they write T only. They will not write anything else. Okay, they don't write R, yes, or something like that. Like, but frankly speaking, you could do that. Uh, so just replace with everything with the T. That also will work. So anything only it should be only one letter. Uppercase, it should be in uppercase, it should be only one letter. Any uppercase letter would work. So let's go here. I just changed it to from a capital T to capital R. Still I could able to use it. This is just like, I mean, very generic, very common interview questions that people would ask you. I mean, they'll ask you to how to define your generic class, and when people will be write T, and then they would ask what would happen if I replace T with some letter. Okay, will that work? Okay, like obviously it will work. Okay, like so it's, but T stands for type, so that's why people uh, try to use the letter T. Okay, like which will stand for type. Okay, like so. But if you have multiple arguments, excuse me, if you have multiple arguments like then people would use T, U, V, W like that. But I always start with T. Okay, like so. Anyway, uh, next thing. Okay, like so here. You see this one integer string, even it was observed for the plant. Okay, what I would do is not only for the plant, it will also work for flower plant. Do have okay. The same thing will work even for flower plant. Not only for that, even if it is water plants also, it will work. There is no differentiation between, so any object you could pass. But here, there is a there might be some scenarios where you want to define your generic class, but you want to restrict to only some types, not for everything. Okay, we see that how we could do that one. Um, First, let's go to where is that one? My generic type. Okay, so R. How we could define is I want to um, let's add one more class as well, which is not part of flower at all. So let's create a class with just like animal. Okay, so which has any relation between plant at all. Okay, let's define animal. Since we know that what would be the animal, so let's me define as a tiger itself. Okay, like a new animal. I will just copy paste the statement instead of typing animal, my animals, animal, and this one would be tiger, and okay. Um, Try to execute that one. So I could able to see that my animal value is animal. Here the flower plant. Here the plant. Okay, right? So I got that one. Uh, any type of any object that I could pass because I don't have any restriction. I could pass plant, flower plant, tiger, integer, string, like that, right? So since it is generic, it would allow me to pass any type of any type there, and it will, and we could able to run that one, and we could able to call any of the methods defined inside that one. But here, I want to restrict my generic class to work only for the classes which have been extended plant. How I would like to restrict that. Okay, I don't want to give for animal, or even I don't want to give for integer, okay, like string, like that. So it should be only applicable for plant and flower plant. So how you could do that one? The same definition, what you could do is you could just change a little bit in the MyGeneric type, or you could say like S or extends plant. So if you add this extend plants, what it does it mean is okay, like so um, this MyGeneric type class will take any type of object of class which have been extended plant, and it will not take anything other than that. See, we already got error here. We already got error for integer because integer is not extended the flower. Here the string is not extended the flower. Sorry, extended the plant. Here integer is not extended the plant. For plant, of course, it is extended. Plant is that's what we defined here. And flower plant, there is no error. Okay, but whereas animal, you got an error. You could also read the error exactly. What would happen? Uh, it's called like a bound mismatch. Oh yeah, now I remember that. When you add these extend plants, okay, it's called like a bounded types. Okay, in the generic classes itself, there is a concept called bounded type. I want to bound my generic class to only a particular type. Okay, like so this concept is called like bounded type. So when you say like extends plant, so this would work only for the classes which have been extended using the plant. So that's why for plant and flower plant, there is no error. For integer and string and even for animal, okay, there is an error. Also, I want to, one more thing, okay, like let's add it even for water plant. There is a called like water plant here, right? Okay, like this water plant implements the watering interface. Okay, like so, uh, let me define this as water plant. Of course, it will throw error because water plant is also not extended from the plant. Okay. What we could do is go to that water plant, okay, like implements watering, and also I would say extends plant. So it extends the plants and also implement the watering interface. Now, if you go back here and then you see this, water plant has no error because water plant is extended from plant and also implements the watering interface. Another way, you could also say that I want to restrict to classes which have been extended plant and also which have been implemented watering interface. Uh, what happened? Are you able to see my screen? Look like someone has taken my presenter rights. Shivashankar. Okay. I'm taking my presenter rights. Just type your question in chatting window if at all. This class has been extended extended from the plant and also implement the watering. So when you are defining your generic class, okay, like what you could do is, uh, you could also say extend plants and implements watering. Oh, sorry. No, here I think it should be like this. Yeah, this is the notation. If you want to restrict your usage of your generic type to particular classes which have been extended from plant and also implements watering interface. Now you go back to that main class and then you see that even the plant has error because it's just like extended plant. Even flower plant is extended from plant. But if you see that flower plant, it never extended from the watering interface. So even that one also you cannot use it. So the only one class which you could use it, water plant, because water plant is the only one which have been extended from plant and implements all the methods in watering. So that's why in the water plant there is no error. Is it clear? Are you guys following?
Professor, so
Yes, sir.
here it has to extend, I agree, but it has to implement all the methods also. Is it the other condition? Does it need to implement all the methods?
Which one? Here, the water plant.
Water plant.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. When you say like implements watering, I've not added any of the methods here. Just I want to show that like
Okay,
okay.
okay, okay, okay.
If you see that watering interface, it was empty. But if I define any of the methods here, yes,
Uh,
it need to be implemented here, water plant.
okay, okay.
That's what the interface means. Okay, like so when you are implementing a particular interface, okay, like you need to implement all the methods defined in the interface.
Okay. But of course, if I omit implements watering, what happens? If I just say extend plant,
Yeah, that's what it is here, flower plant.
if I say flower plant extends plant, I don't talk anything about implementation, but still you don't get error, right?
Yep. I mean here, like yeah, here you need not implement the methods defined in the watering interface. Okay.
Of course, it's not mandatory if I don't say implement that.
Correct.
Okay, that's what I just want to have it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Professor.
Yeah, sure. No problem. So this is what I will do. So this generic class would help you, okay, like to control over like what types that would be bounded to. Okay. So here, how you are defining your definition of your generic class, you could control over. You could just leave the type like this. If this is the case, um, it will be applicable for all types, even starting from integer, string, plant, flower plant, water plant, and even animal. So any type of class, any type of object of any of the class, it would work. So that's why there are no errors here. But if you want to restrict to particular type, let's say I want to restrict to only the classes which have been implemented watering interface. Okay, nothing else. I think that is for that. Uh, Error because integer class never implemented any watering thing. String error, plant that it never been implemented. That's the error. Flower plant error. Water plant is the only one, okay, like which does not have any of the error, and the rest of all the objects has shown the error. Because we restricted this usage of this generic type to the classes which have been implemented watering interface. Okay, and let's remove this watering. I'm repeating one more time all the scenarios. I want to restrict the usage of the generic class for all the classes which have been extended plan. Okay. Now you go back your my application. Integer there is error, string there is error, and plant there is no error. Plant and flower plant, even water plant. Water plant also extended from plant. So plant, flower plant, water plant, all these classes you could use. But if you try to use the animal, it will throw an error because the animal is not inherited or extended from the plant. Okay. Now we covered the watering interface, we covered the plant, but I want to restrict the classes which have been extended plant and implemented interface, watering interface. So what I could use is extend plants, and it will not accept implements, but instead they use this watering. And remember, always your interface should be at the end. Okay, like so. This is not a uh, logical, and so that you could interchange left and right parties of this ampersand symbol. This is not like that. So suppose if I use watering and plant, it will throw an error here itself. It will say that I forgot what is this kind of error, but let me see. Yeah, the type plant is not an interface. It cannot be specified as bounded parameter. Okay, so your interface will always be at the end after ampersand. So this one is watering. You could use multiple conditions as well. Okay, it need not be only one. Watering and then plant. So plant and watering. So the classes which have been extended plant base class also implemented watering interface only for that classes only we are allowed. That's what it means. So now with that condition, plant will be overruled, flower plant will be overruled. Only the water plant is the only one. Okay, like which will be eligible to satisfy that rule. Clear, everyone? Okay. So now I will we'll go back to that. We'll go back to our original one, just R or T. I mean, as I explained you, most of the tutorials or books, okay, like they will always say that use uppercase T. Um, but anyway, um, you could use any letter, frankly speaking. So if I use just a letter and not adding any of the keywords like extended, ampersand symbol, anything like that, then that means any type of object that you could pass. So all my errors are gone. So all the objects I'm eligible to use it. Okay. But here, um, since it will since it will allow you to use um, any type of uh, any type of uh, any type of class, what would happen if I pass generic class itself? Let's see that what would happen if I pass as a generic class object itself, there itself. Okay, like um, let me try. Is it correct? Everything? Or else, let me take out this and define here uh, figure of 100. Oh, that's how you could define even you can pass it as its generic type as a generic type object. Okay, I define my generic type object of integer of my int. Okay, like and then I pass it as a my int as an object here, and then I define this one as my generic type of integer. This is just like I went with one more level. Okay, like so. Okay, any questions on so far? Whatever thing that we covered. One doubt. Yeah, sure. Vijayanagara. How one class handles all these types? Um, how, I mean, you want to know internally how it's been defined in Java? Okay, like um, internally, right? Frankly speaking, I'm not sure exactly how they implemented that one, but um, I'm not sure exactly like how they would have designed that one. Basically, it's a whenever the Java compiler when it see this Angular brackets, it knows that it's related to the generic one, and then it get the definition, and whatever the type that you passed here, it will try to replace it everything at the runtime. It will get this definition, and then wherever you define this R and something like that, then it will replace with this. It's replaced with this data type that you will pass. It's just like runtime. It will try to change. It will try to convert the code and then it will pass it to that. So the compiler, whenever it sees this Angular brackets, it knows that it's related to the generic, and then try to get this definition, and inside the definition, okay, like replace that R or T or whatever the letter that you have used, replace with this flower plant, and then you pass it. That's how it. That what I mean. That is that are the steps it should handle, but how it been designed or how it will be parsed out and everything, I'm not sure. Like in C++, a separate class created for every type or not? I don't think so. Yeah. But I think it's just like runtime, okay, it will come under whatever thing that polymorphism concepts, extension of that, okay, like how it will be converted at the runtime and it will identify its data type and everything. Yeah,
Professor, here I feel, as far as this is concerned, it need not wait till runtime. Probably in the first
compile
run,
time.
in the first
Sorry, yeah,
compile time, in the first
right, right, right.
pass, it can keep it vacant. And in the second pass, when it comes and goes through the exact definition, it can
Yes,
replace
yes,
it there.
professor. Sorry, it's my bad, really. Like, no, it's not in the runtime, it's compile time itself.
And
That is the
compile
reason we
time
are seeing
itself,
that
it can.
whenever you change here, right? Okay,
Mhm.
like you are seeing that error immediately. So it's not in the runtime, it's in
Uh-uh.
compiler time
And
itself. Yes,
runtime polymorphism is available, right? That is only when you define it dynamically. So that could be done at runtime.
yeah. Here, I think the compiler, whenever it sees this angular brackets, right? So it
Yes.
will
It
try
keeps
to
that
replace the entire
case open,
definition with this. Yeah,
and it can backtrack and replace the type there once it sees that.
correct, correct. I think that should be. Uh, Professor, can you cover it in the next class? On
Fine.
what? This thing, how it's internally handled? I don't know. It's really work. Okay, like why we want to know? Okay, like how the Java handles this stuff. Okay, like frankly speaking, that is not expected from the Java developer or even Hadoop or
Uh,
any
of
developers.
course, no,
Okay,
I agree. I agree. As this is this doubt is raised, I am just clarifying.
no, 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 sir. I
But
mean, like,
it's out of your syllabus.
yeah, and
I
also like, I mean, no, JNT Vijayanagaram people, they're asking that is there any way that we could cover it in next class? Vijayanagaram people are asking about that one. That's why I'm just giving explanation. Now, how the Java handled internally, I don't think we need to worry about that one. Uh, Vijayanagaram people, but we'll see that how we could use it effectively. And there is a concept called wildcards. There is other concept called wildcards. Okay, they use question mark. Okay, like it's a wildcard. Okay, like that. That is also
don't deny.
very much famous, especially when you are going for any Java coding interviews like that. Generics is very interesting concept, a very new thing. It was not there in the older versions of the Java, but collections are there very in the even starting from the Java 1.2, 1.3 onwards. Okay, like even before that.
Understand.
So generics is as added like 1.5 or 1.6 onwards, I guess. Okay, like so it's very pretty new. So not most of the people are aware of that one, how to define it. But it's very simple. But you need to practice it one or two times. You get a full hands-on on that. Like I it's not that we need not go much deeper dive into that one. I think these are the cases. Even I never used all this type of cases in any of the Java projects, frankly speaking. Okay, like, but whenever I'm explaining about Java programming, we will cover these things. But after that, we never, in the reality, okay, like the real coding, when you're doing the Java programming and all the stuff, you don't cover these many cases. Okay, like hardly I use that. We want to restrict that. Okay, like to only particular classes, not open for any all the uh, all the different objects. Okay, that is the only thing that we did in our Java in our projects. But deeper dive is not required. Even wildcards also we never got that kind of a scenarios. Okay, like but that is much more little bit more advanced. And by the way, it's not only just for the class types. Even for methods also, you could pass. You could make it as generic methods, so that it will take different data type parameters. Okay, like so when you define a function with generic type syntaxes, okay, like then it will take a integer argument and also it will take a string argument like that. Okay, but you need to specify the type and then you could pass that one. So there is a but methods also people would use most of the cases. So it's need not be only here we whatever we covered is the classes, right? It's just a generic classes. So this is a generic class definition. So even for normal class also, you could define a generic method. Okay, so that method would take um, different data types. Okay, like and then you will handle according to that one. It's the same thing. You need to use that angular braces. Okay, like and then you define the parameter there. Also, it supports generic data return type as well from the method. So void, integer, string, object. So any type that you could return it back. Okay, like that is also there. But I'm not saying most of the people will be using it. But method, yes, method you would use it in the real time. Generic class or generic type, whatever it is. And generic method, people would use most of the cases. Do you want to cover even the method? Maybe we could give a try. I saw small thing, small note, so that will say a bit on that. Um, Murthy, do you want me to add servers?
Sir, are you able to hear me?
Now I'm able to hear, sir.
Because I muted. If you want, you can add how generic method works also, and that is enough for the time being, sir. Because
Okay,
they have to learn through practice. We can introduce some
fine.
concept, how it
Yeah,
works we
fine.
say, rest they have to
It's,
do it by hand
it's
and learn.
it's the same thing. Nothing mm, more than this. Okay, like only thing is wherever that whenever you define a method, right? Okay, suppose for example, let me try. Uh, let's take the animal. Okay, like so here, taking public void um, get type. Okay, like and then you could say this one would work for again. Go back to the T. Uh, I don't know whether I think we need to define the inside this. I guess. So got the syntax like this. Let me see the syntax. So in case of a generic method, okay, like so here it's taking a list of any type, list of integer, list of strings, or list of objects that you could pass to this method, okay, and this is the t. So only you need to define this is the additional one in case of method, and return type is void. So whenever you created an animal object, okay, like and then you could pass by calling like animal dot get type, and then you pass a list, and then it will give you the list size. Um, let's go back here. Let me remove all these ones so that it will load all the errors. Okay. For example, um, we already have the tiger here. Okay, right? So what we'll do is, okay, like um, let's define a list of integers. A list. This is the generic. Error list is generic one. Also, you need to define. Okay. So here, my oh sorry, I could say like my integer list. So I had defined the two lists. One is of integer list, another one is the string list. So what we could do is um, tiger dot get type. Here you could see this one, and then list would be my integer list. That's it. And the next one is tiger dot get type. Here my str list. So remember here I am passing. This is an integer type list, and this one would be string type. Okay. So now this method is accepting parameters of different type. Try to remember. The first one is got like list size as 3 because the integers I added like three numbers here, and the second one I added as only one string here. So that one. So when you are defining your here again, this this is not a generic class. This is only generic method. So even for any method, we want to pass a different type of parameters. So this is how you define it. Of course, here I used as a T as a generic way. Even this, if you go to this uh, Oracle, Java is from Oracle, right? So even if you go to their tutorial and everywhere you could see that one. People would see T like that. But here somehow they, if it has more than one, then only they define other than T. But the first time when they're defining, they always use upper uh, capital T. Okay. This is how you would cover it in the method. If for method, you could pass multiple arguments as well, like T, U, V, like that. If it is more than one type, okay, you could also pass. So that's how it works. So this is called like a generic method. Okay. For methods, I think you cannot pass it as a generic classes here. Here you cannot pass it as a generic class. Um, to allow that generic class, then they use this wildcards. Okay, like the wildcard is the one like the which has um, question mark as a type instead of here instead of here um, instead of T. Okay, like you could say that question mark extends plant. This would work. So that means anything, any object, okay, like which is extend, which is extend the plant. So for that one, it would work. So here also it should be question. Sorry, here it should be T only. So this is the one. So this is called like the name it is a wild card. Okay, like so. So while passing, this would be any type of argument. So this question mark is called like a wild card. You could say extend plant, even extend plant underscore ampersand watering. You could define that one. So that is when you're especially in the generic methods. Okay, like here the list of T, it will not take the generic type, but generic types, generic class types, you could pass as a generic class type as an argument. But for generic methods, you cannot pass as a generic class type. So to allow that one, they define this wildcard. Unless you define as a wildcard, it will not allow you. See, immediately we got this error because this is not this list is of type integer or string and which is not extended by plant. Okay, like that's why it's got the error. Is it clear, everyone? Concept of generic class, generic methods, how to use it. Okay, like what are different scenarios? How you want to restrict to only particular types, types of classes, types of interface. Okay, types of classes which implements the interface. Okay, like we covered all this concept. I think more than this is not required really. Okay, like for any from any Java developer. Okay, like they don't expect more than this. Okay, like so. Uh, this is really very important, especially when you are going to write into a map reduce program. Okay, like so. Uh, if possible, uh, before the next class, okay, like try to refresh or try to go through or try to define some of the cases. Example for generic methods like that, and then uh, you try different combination here in the generic type. You change it from extends plant, extend flower plant itself, okay, like that, and also extends watering interface, okay, like so. Uh, all these combinations, okay, like give a try with some small examples, then you will understand um, completely. Whatever you are now, you are seeing the screen, but unless you practice on with your own fingers, okay, like you are not, and it will not be uh, stored in your memory permanently. Okay, like you need to practice some of the scenarios. Yeah, that's what even I did. Okay, like so to understand. Whenever I learned the first generic things, that's what I did. Like I just went there and then I practiced a couple of combinations. And I realized that okay, like um, if you want to be a good programmer, if you want to be in the programming good, obviously like you need to write the code. Okay, like so. Without writing a code, without practicing, no one would become a programmer. Okay. Uh, Anything else? Good. Next class, we'll see about our next topic, MapReduce or anything related to the Hadoop domain. Okay, like we'll see that one, and again we'll catch up on the Monday morning. Monday morning. Okay, like until then.
Tuesday morning, sir.
Oh, sorry, Tuesday morning. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, that you do have. Okay, like in general or even in related to the class or anything on this domain.